What's up, guys? I want to welcome you to show number 71. As always, thank you so much for rocking me these first 70 shows. By now, you know where to find me. If you go to SoundCloud, Stitcher, as well as iTunes, search for Trill Withers, the show will come up. Do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe there so that the show will come to you every week. If you listen on iTunes, do me a favor, click ratings, reviews, drop me a 5-star review, a couple words with how you feel about the show. It'd be greatly appreciated. Got the email address, that's trillwitherspodcast@gmail.com. And I do have the website up and running, that's lookingupfromthefloor.wordpress.com. Again, lookingupfromthefloor.wordpress.com. All right, I apologize for my absence last week. It was a lot of shit going on. Wasn't really feeling the best, so I could have, struggled through to give y'all like a 13-point game on like 4 for 13 shooting, but I decided not to. Had a week to rest up, so I'm ready to give y'all a 15-point game today on like 6 for 14 shooting, slightly better, like 2 boards, 2 assists, 8 turnovers, something light. But today is the 19th anniversary of Notorious B.I.G.'s death, and that makes me feel very old, like very, very old. Like he would have been, I think they said he would have been turning 44 this year. He'd be turning 44 this year, and he's been gone for 20 years, which makes you realize how young he really was. Like I think I was 8 years old when Biggie died. I was 8 years old, and when you're 8, I think I've said in the past, when you're 8 and somebody in their 20s dies, it's like they lived a long life. Like he was 24, man. He had one foot in the grave. And now that I'm at that age and past that age, you see like 24 is really not shit. It's really not shit at all. 24 is nothing. Like he did Ready to Die at 22. 22 years old, Life After Death by 24. And like just so many hits, so many great songs, such a great talent just to be gone at 22. Just to be gone at 22 is crazy. Like I remember the other day, not too long ago, we were talking about how things would have been different, if Twitter was around for certain things. And it was mentioned, but just like really imagine the timeline if these diss tracks are coming out. Like they're showing Big and Pocket throwing shots at each other, and then Hit 'Em Up comes out. And like then the timeline finding out that Tupac died. And then I think it was like 6 months later finding out that Biggie died. You know what I'm saying? Like just folks upset about Ayesha Curry, man. Like who gives a fuck about Ayesha Curry, man? Like imagine how wild it would have been if it was like, yeah, Tupac got shot to death last night, and then 6 months later, Biggie got shot to death, and they were both like 24 or 25. So, like with that age, like again, he did Ready to Die at 22, which I think is a perfect album. One of my, I can't say my favorite, but it's definitely up there, one of my favorites. And I can't help but think of all the shitty college papers that I was writing at 22. Like at 22, I was writing, like I was getting a D in philosophy because I couldn't argue, like, nature over nurture or some shit like that. And he was writing suicidal thoughts, me and my bitch, everyday struggle, warning. It's incredible. Like it's really incredible. So spin you some Biggie today. I had to open up with, I've been listening to some Biggie this morning. So spin you some Biggie today and appreciate one of the greats. All right, next thing I want to get into, we got some new music. So I did want to talk about that, the new Kendrick, the Untitled shit, and the College Grove, the Wayne and 2 Chainz. First, the Kendrick, though. Like, the Kendrick, it's really good. Like, it's really good. I love how short it is. Of course, it's like 30, 35 minutes. But it seems more listenable. I don't know if that's a word, but whatever. It's more listenable than the others. And I'm not sure why. I can't really put a finger on it. But To Pimp a Butterfly, Good Kid, Mad City, those felt like projects like you had to listen to like in order, in its entirety, every single time. Like you have to pay attention to. You can't just throw that on the background. Like you're missing something if you're not paying attention and listen to it from 1 to 15 or whatever. And for that reason, I don't really go back to either of those projects. Like I enjoyed them both at the time. I go back to a couple of tracks, but outside of that, not really. Now this Untitled, I've enjoyed this. I've just had it on, like in the car, around the house, whatever. Like the CeeLo shit, the Get God on the Phone, that third track, the last track, those are the ones I really like, but it's not a bad track on there. I think it's 8 tracks. So I'm a fan, and you really get to see how talented Kendrick really is. Like I really enjoy him over the jazz type stuff. That's kind of his thing, but just his voice grated on me for a while. Just his voice and how he would flip it and change his pitch and all that. But I get it. Like I see what he was doing. it works, and it only works for him. That's part of his talent. So I did enjoy the Untitled shit. Kyler Grove, the Wayne and 2 Chainz, I enjoyed that one as well. Like, that was exactly what I thought it would be. I didn't have, like, my expectations weren't sky high. I knew it would be a couple bangers, some songs I liked, some songs I didn't, and that's exactly what it was. But let me just say, I'm a fan of any kind of paying homage track, like paying homage to somebody while they're still living. Like, I love Big Brother, by Kanye to Jay-Z for that reason. And thus, I love Dedication, the intro. The song, it's the best song on the album to me. The one where 2 Chainz is basically just telling Wayne, all he's done for him, how much he appreciates him, all that. And I like tracks like that because you don't really see it a whole lot while the person is living. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could take this Bankroll Fresh News. You know what I'm saying? It is a, I'm guilty of this too. Like, I hadn't heard a whole lot from Bankroll. I liked what I'd heard. I seen him in some interviews. He had a personality and the talent was there. I wouldn't say I was a fan. But now I'm inspired to listen to his music, and for what? He's gone now, so, for what? And it just reminds me of a saying, like, people will bring flowers to your funeral, but not soup when you're sick. So I really love what 2 Chainz did there, doing that for the intro. And, not only while Wayne's still alive, but, like, on the CD with him. And this was basically 2 Chainz saying that, he's got Wayne's back now because Wayne had his back, for years from the jump, and I love that. I love it. Now, could Wayne drop, Wayne could drop an album tomorrow and sell. Absolutely. He doesn't need 2 Chainz. But this comes from a big Lil Wayne fan. I'm not checking for any Wayne projects right now. I'm just not. I don't know, the last 2, I don't even know if I ever got around to. I'm just good off Wayne solo projects right now. But this one I downloaded the same day because 2 Chainz. It was a 2 Chainz project featuring Wayne. So that's, 2 Chainz' way of paying homage. And I like that. I fuck with that. But again, the tape, it was exactly what I thought it would be. Love Dedication. I think Bounce is a hit. Like, that might be your summer hit. I'm hoping it's your summer hit. Smell Like Money, Bentley Truck. It's a couple bangers. Something good to throw on. Again, another short one. I think it's 12, 13 songs, but a couple of the songs are old. So it's just something they put out. And I got to say, I'm very pleased with all the music we've got so far. I'm trying to think now. I don't know if we've had any subpar releases. Like, we had the couple Future projects. The Thug, the Wiz was nice. College Grove was nice. This Kendrick was nice. Kanye was nice. So it's just March. We've got a lot of good music. So I'm fake looking forward to the rest of the year. Surely we'll get some more good music. But I fake just want to stop right here. Let's just go out batting 1,000 with these, the 6, 7 projects, whatever I just named. Let's just go out with those being good and not water it down with trash the rest of the year. All right, for today's show, what I'm going to do is, there's just going to be all questions. Didn't have a show last week, and the couple weeks before, I had Chef and Nikki on. And by the way, thank you for those. You showed them a lot of love, and I appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed those shows. So it has been a while since I've answered questions, so today is just going to be all questions. First question is, I don't think I've heard you talk about books or literature before, so I wanted to ask about that. What are some of your favorite things you've read? What are some things you'd like to read a book about but haven't yet, either because you hadn't gotten around to it or because there hasn't been a book written about that topic? I read a lot of essays because my attention span is fucking horrible, and I have trouble finishing books. I have trouble, like, finishing chapters. Like, damn, a book. I have trouble finishing chapters, even if they're interesting. I just struggle with that, and it's awful. And I really wonder a lot about it for kids now. Like, not too long ago, my nephew and I were playing PlayStation, and while we're waiting on the PlayStation to load, I'm on my phone and he's on his tablet. Like I'm already a lost cause, but he doesn't stand a fucking chance. He stands zero chance. But yeah, I read a lot of essays. The last really good book I read was Ta-Nehisi Coates' Between the World and Me. That was an amazing, amazing book that I will, reread at some point, hopefully soon. I've got Beautiful Struggle, also by Coates, queued up now, and I just can't get through the first chapter, man. I just can't, I can't focus, and that's on me. Like, the book is fine, I just can't focus. Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, that's another good book, and I enjoyed that one because it's the basis of, the hard work versus talent versus luck, which, I like to talk about, so it really goes into that. I like to read anything by the late, great Dr. Bobby Wright. He writes a lot of essays. The Psychopathic Racial Personality is one of my favorites. Black Menticide, he writes a lot of things like that. I like reading about black psychology. Something that I would like to read that hasn't been a book written about. It may be a book, but I'm like the black quarterback stuff. The black quarterback stuff. I would like to read like a really in-depth book about it. Like I've seen articles. I remember the big book of black quarterbacks, but I would read something about like just the history of the position, why it is that, you know, black kids are pushed away from that, like starting from an early age, and how that turns out, you know, like following kids from, you know, middle school, high school on up to their pro careers and adulthood, wherever they end up. So that's something I'll be interested in. It may be a book about it. I'm just not aware. But if there's not, that's something that I'll be interested in reading about. All right, next question is, I know you've talked about Don't by Bryson Tiller being a Dirty Mac song, but do you have any favorites? My top 5 are Your Man Ain't Me by Chris Brown, I Can Love You by Mary J. Blige and Lil' Kim, Veteran by The Dream, My Way by Fetty Wap and Drake, and He Can't Love You by Jagged Edge. Okay, Dirty Mac anthems. As soon as I read that, He Can't Love You by Jagged Edge came to mind, like off the bat. Like this nigga literally, like the opening, you hear like the little guitar strings or whatever, and then the nigga comes in and he's like, I'm not trying to hate or nothing, but let me just hate a little bit. And this nigga proceeds to hate. He proceeds to do the thing he literally just spoke against for the next 4 minutes and 19 seconds. So He Can't Love You is definitely on there. LL Cool J, Lounging. The chorus of Lounging is, Who do you love? Are you sure? That's some Dirty Mac and shit if I've ever heard it. Joe, All the Things Your Man Won't Do. Drake, Marvin's Room. That's a Dirty Mac and classic, of course. Trey Songz, I Can't Help But Wait. Now, I may or may not have used this in college. I may or may not have used I Can't Help But Wait in college. I can neither confirm nor deny that. But if I did, hypothetically, it worked. So, Drew Hill, I Should Be Your Boyfriend. That's up there for sure. Lloyd, Treat You Good. Like the first word you hear Lloyd say, I heard you and your man were beefing, thought I should come and see you. That's the fucking essence of Macking, which is dirty. But like Dirty Mac is not dead. It's alive and well. It lives with Tiller and with all these songs. So like just know that when you see people talking about how Tiller's making, you know, young man music, young nigga music, nobody listens to that, just know that they're criticizing the man and not the art. Because Dirty Macking itself is alive and well. It's flourishing. Like Dirty Macking stock through the roof. So ask any woman that you would consider a friend. It could be a lady, you know, if your heart's strong enough. But just any lady you consider a friend. They got 4 examples of some Dirty Mac shit that happened to them this week alone. 2 of those involve you. So yeah, just know Dirty Macking is alive and well. And with those songs listed, you got a pretty good soundtrack for it, if that is your thing. All right, next question is, why do men hate women? That is a doozy. I don't know. I had to reach out to Nikki, who was on the show last week, and I asked her, why do men hate women? And she simply said, because they're trained to. Like, simple as that, because we're trained to. And she's right. I think you see it quite a bit. And at this point, like, if you're not seeing it, I feel like you're choosing not to. And that's the privilege. That's male privilege. We don't have to see it. Like, you don't have to go outside of Twitter to see it. Like, look at the responses when a woman gets a job like that, you know, a man would normally have. Like, you know, I think it was last month with the Buffalo Bills. Look at the comments on this Erin Andrews shit. Like, Erin Andrews just won a settlement, and people are saying she got too much money. What is too much money? Like, by saying she got too much money, you're pretty much saying you're okay with her life being changed forever, but only to a certain point. And by saying that, it's like you're putting a price on her livelihood. And not only that, you're the one that gets to, you know, dictate that price. You know, so if she got $5, it was okay. If she got $5 million, was it okay? Like, where's the line? Why do you get to decide that? You don't. So, you know, we'll say athletes all the time shouldn't have got $50 million because they're trash. But folks are saying that, you know, she's not worth it. They're saying that she benefited from this, like the stalker, like the man that was stalking her, like he did her a solid. You know, look at these stories of women turning down a man, you know, in a club or on the street or whatever, and getting maimed and killed. Like, maimed and killed. Literally, it seems like we see a story like that every week, and that's probably not even a fraction of them. So why do men hate women? I really have no idea, man. I have no idea. Like outside of middle-aged white women who I've aired my grievances with in this space numerous times, outside of them, women have been damn good to me, man. Women have been damn good to me, particularly black ones. And a friend of mine told me, since it's Women's History Month, March is Women's History Month, if you're unaware, and she just asked, could men act right for a month? And I told her that we would. And then then the Aaron Andrews shit happened like the next day. So this is my plea from me to you. Try it for a month. Try it for a month. Try to avoid derogatory terms to women. Try to let them live on the train or in the street or in the club. Just let them live. Just let them live. Try not to tell them how to feel. Try not to belittle their feelings. Try not to tell them what they should and should not be doing. Try not to be generally shitty people to them. Like for a month. I'm asking you to do this for a month. See how you like it. We'll work on the rest later. But try it for a month. Because they deserve it. They really get such a shitty shake. And I mentioned it in the things I've learned from Twitter. Just what a shitty shake women in general have. And now that I see it, it's like I can't unsee it. And it's things I hear in songs that bother me. It's, things that happen in conversations. Like my sister and I were talking about going somewhere. And she was like, you go there alone? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, wow. Like it didn't cross her mind to go somewhere alone because it's like a bad part of town. And she knows her going there would put her in a bad situation. And if something happened to her there, she would be blamed for it. That's the things that women have to think about every single day that we don't. I don't have to think about that. That's the male privilege. I don't have to think about that. I can just go there, come back, and that's that. So just try to put yourself in their shoes for a month. That's all I'm asking for, a month. I think if you do it for a month, you will start to see it and you'll want to change your behavior from then on out. But let's not fuck this up for a month. We're weekend, so hopefully you've got any ain't shitness out of your system. But for the rest of the month, let's try to not be shitty human beings to women. All right, next question is, as I'm listening to this last week's podcast, referring to the one with Chef, and thinking about the rightfully disparaging comments about Nas, I remember the conversation I had with a real hip-hop fan in which I said bar for bar Migos will wash Run DMC. Partially because it's true, but also because as soon as I said it, I could see every blood vessel on his head about to explode. So I ask you, what hot takes would you tell old heads that would absolutely fly in the face of everything they hold true? My first one would be that Lil Wayne would wrap circles around Big Daddy Kane. Wrap circles around him. Like basically any of those old Grandmaster Flash, the Rapper's Delight niggas, Lil Wayne would wrap circles around these niggas easily. The second, I would say Young Thug would rip any beat in history. In history. Like you could put him on My Adidas or some of that old whack shit. But like as I say these beats, just think of Young Thug on them. Rapper's Delight, Nothing But a G Thing, Bling Bling, Big Pimpin', and maybe it's just me. I can hear Thugger rapping on any of these songs. I think he would kill any of them, which would fly in the face of real hip hop, throw on some immortal technique because of the things that Thug raps about and his persona. I think that would be great. And the last one would be that, New York invented hip hop or whatever. And I would say, you could pick your best three from New York, Jay-Z, Rakim, Nas, whoever your best three is from New York. And I got a trio from Atlanta, multiple trios from Atlanta that would demolish any of them. Any of them. You take whoever you want from New York. Just give me, any three of these five. Give me Big Boy. Give me 3000. Give me T.I. Give me Killer Mike. CeeLo. Of those five, just pick three. And whatever you want to measure it by. Whoever can battle rap, whoever can spit a better verse, whoever can make a better project, whatever. My money's on the Atlanta trio every single time. And it might be a New York nigga just listening to this. He's about to eat his Timberland boots. He's so mad. He's furious right now. So yeah, I like this. I like this game. I got to put some of these into practice just to see some of these real life responses because it's not trolling. I feel like it's not trolling if you believe it. And I absolutely believe all three of those things. I also believe that the Migos would wash Run DMC. like the question said. So yeah, give that a try and report back with your findings. Right. Next question is, what are your top 5 favorite non-hip hop, non-R&B songs? And these are in no order. First one, Some Unholy War by Amy Winehouse. She got a lot of candidates. I guess this week is probably my favorite song by her. That's always subject to change. And like, she wrote the song about a man that ruined her. Like, this man was fighting his addictions and his demons, and she was still there to fight with him with the strength that he didn't know. So I love that song. Lush Life, jazz song by John Coltrane, Johnny Hartman. It's a perfect song, really. Like, their album, they put out an album together. John Coltrane and Johnny Hartman is the name of it, and it's on YouTube. It's about 30 minutes long. And just throw it on, and just let it run. It's so smooth. Susudio by Phil Collins. I'm a Phil Collins fan, and I love that song. It always puts me in a good mood. Karma Chameleon by Culture Club. I've always liked that song, and I got a concussion when I was younger. I can't remember how old I was, but I got a concussion, and so I'm sitting in the car with my aunt, and she is trying to keep me awake because you can't go to sleep after concussion or you die or something along those lines. And so I kept nodding off. She's trying to talk to me. I keep nodding off, and this song came on, and apparently I started singing it. So she kept playing it over and over and over and over again, and I kept singing it to keep me awake. So you could say Boy George saved my life. Some would say that. And Optimistic by Sounds of Blackness. I don't know if that's R&B or not. I count it as gospel, but yeah, there was really a stretch where I would listen to this song every single morning as I woke up, and I need to get back to it. So those are my top 5 favorite non-rap, non-R&B songs. Some Unholy War, Lush Life, Susudio, Karma Chameleon, and Optimistic by Sounds of Blackness. Next question is, Tyler, I've got a question for you. Maybe you can put this out to the people. So I have this thing called the Hennessy All Stars, which is a team composed of players who look like they're playing drunk every night, yet manage to put up a decent stat line. Guys like Mo Spates, J.R. Smith, Brandon Jennings, etc. I'm curious as to be on your Hennessy All Star team. Basically, like the first persons that came to mind, like all the Memphis Grizzlies, all of them, like Zach Randolph, Tony Allen, Matt Barnes, like all of them look like they just do like mad shots of Henny, like right before tip off. Ivan Johnson's there. I don't know how many people remember Ivan Johnson. He used to play for the Hawks a couple years back, and he was the quote unquote enforcer. Like, he used to play with a grill in his mouth. He got banned for life from, I think, the Philippines league for like threatening the commissioner, like some wild shit. So Henny was definitely on the menu for Ivan Johnson. I would say Quincy Acey, Reggie Evans, any of those undersized power forwards who don't really have a skill outside of like toughness. Like, Reggie Evans can't shoot. Reggie Evans can't pass. He's not setting up the offense. He can rebound and he can drink Hennessy. Those are like his 2 skills. And he's been in the league like 10 years. So shout out to Reggie Evans. And coaching the team, I feel like you got to have Scott Skiles. Like, Scott Skiles is like 6'1", probably 190 in his playing days. And he tried to fight Shaq in practice. Like, I feel like that's only the action of a man who, like a couple shots of the Henny had him going brazy. Like, ready to fight Shaquille O'Neal. Like, 22-year-old Shaquille O'Neal. And Scott Skiles is like, put up your dukes, buddy. So, yeah. Those are my Hennessy All-Stars. Zach Randolph, Tony Allen, Matt Barnes, all of the Memphis Grizzlies. Maybe Mark Gasol aside. Ivan Johnson, he might be Hennessy Hall of Fame. Quincy Acey, Reggie Evans, and you got to have Scott Skiles coaching it. All right, next question is, what are your thoughts on the University of Louisville prostitution scandal as well as Rick's future in Louisville? On the scandal itself, I get it. I absolutely get it. Like, I only laugh because it's Louisville, and it's funny when bad things happen to Louisville. But it's amazing. Like, it's amazing people are surprised this kind of thing happens. Like, I'm more amazed that they had to pay people to do it. Like, I'll tell you the I've been on Louisville's campus, but I didn't go there. I will say that at Kentucky, I imagine any kind of school with any kind of reputable athletic program, you could pull some people, like you could pull some young ladies out the student center to do this for free. And I like, this ain't what I think. This is what I know. This is what I've seen. So the fact that you would have to go through it and pay it and just do it so sloppy, it's hilarious because it's Louisville. But if it was anybody else, I'd just be like, that's just kind of the game. This is kind of the game. So yeah, it's funny because it's Louisville. I do think it's trash that they gave up on the season. Especially for the seniors that transferred there. Like especially this season, like college hoops is like abnormally trash. It's been a horrible, horrible year. Not even because my team's not that good, but just in general, nobody's really been that good. And Louisville or would have had a good as chance as any to win it all. And now we'll never know. So that's a bummer that Louisville's going to be sitting at home watching everybody else play in the tournament. But as far as Rick's future, I feel like he's beat worse than this. He'll beat this. He beat worse than this. Like Rick Pitino beat a case where he fucked a woman that was not only his wife, or excuse me, that not only wasn't his wife, was not his wife, but was the wife of one of his assistants. He fucked her in a restaurant bathroom, raw, and he had to admit to a jury that the entire encounter took 15 seconds and he came down his own leg. He beat that. He will beat this. Right, next question is, do you think men should be accepting of their wife's wishes to hyphenate their last name upon marriage? How would you feel if your fiance wanted to hyphenate her last name? I do think men should be accepting of that. Now, it's easy for me to say because nobody wants me long term, nonetheless wants my last name. But I do think that men should be accepting of that. And for a while, there was absolutely a time where I would have been upset, if a woman said she wanted to hyphenate her last name. And then I saw somebody, it may have been on Twitter, I can't remember where I seen this. And she was like, I didn't go to school for 15 years or however long it take to be a doctor to be called Dr. somebody else's name. And after that, it clicked for me. I was like, that makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Like, one, it's her name. It's her name. I can't imagine she would love you, any less for that. Now, I guess, if there's going to be a concern, maybe kids, what you want to name the children. But I imagine that you, quote unquote, conceding that would benefit you in the long run because she sees that you're willing to sacrifice. So, yes, her name, it's her life. She's the one that's got to change. Like, think about how trash it is to, like, change your address or update shit. And just think she would have to do that for everything. She would have to do that shit for everything. So, if she got to do it, she should at least be able to do it to whatever she wants to be called. I feel like that's not unreasonable. Next question is, do you think Oklahoma City has a real chance at winning? People always bring up Katie and Russ, but that bench looks too weak to win it all. I don't. I don't think they have a real chance at winning at all. I think they would give us, like if they play Golden State in the playoffs, I think it'd be an interesting series that went 5, maybe 6 games before Golden State advanced. Because Russ can throw up like a 31, 12, and 12, and Katie can drop 41. And it won't matter because the next leading scorer will have like 7 points. Like 7 points. Like the game, not this most recent one, but the one a couple weeks ago. KD had 37, 12, and 5. Russ had 26, 7, and 13. And I thought they both played great defensive games as well. Oklahoma City had 4 other players score double digits. The game was in Oklahoma City. Draymond and Harrison Barnes combined to score 8 points on 3 for 17 shooting. 3 Warriors total scored double digits compared to 6 for the Thunder. And none of it mattered because Steph hit that, was a 35-footer in overtime. Now, will Steph drop 46 every game like he did in that one? I mean, he could. Like, it's not unreasonable at all. But he won't have to. He won't have to. As constructed, the Thunder are not beating the Warriors 4 times in 7 games. And that's not even a knock on the Thunder. Nobody is. As constructed, meaning if they stay healthy, nobody's beating these Warriors 4 times in 7 games. All right, next question is, I've got to admit that I was really feeling Designer's wave stealing on The Life of Pablo, but it seems that people are sick of his shit as evidenced by the complete non-reactions to every performance of his I've seen recorded. Is there anything Designer could do at this point to regain the people's favor? We're going on tour with Future do it. Right now, I think it's just too soon. If Designer had waited for Future to fall off and pull the same act a couple years later, he'd probably be good money. Call it the Young Thug strategy. Rip Wayne's wave when he's terrible and evolve it to new heights. So that's my question. How does Designer play this out to become the best, whatever he wants to be possible? I got nothing, man. I got nothing. I have no idea how Designer's going to come out of this. And, nor do I want him to. Like, I've never been more proud of the city. When I heard that they played Panda, Trap Karaoke was a couple weeks back. And they played Panda, and the people of Atlanta booed until they cut the shit off. I'd never been more proud of the city. Never. So Atlanta's not fucking with him. I don't know if New York's fucking with him because he sounds like he's from Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we gonna love and support you? You sound like you're not even from here. And if you've seen any interview with him, he doesn't talk like that. He don't talk like that. Like, he won't stop dabbing. So I don't know what he could do outside of drop something dope behind the scenes. And I say that like that's what makes this all terrible. Like, Panda in itself is not a bad song. It's not a bad song at all. He's 18. So to make that at 18, there's talent there. But I can't imagine people would be here for Desiigner music, like, knowing it's him. Like, he's got to do some work with Kanye where you find yourself nodding your head and then you find out, like, damn, that's Desiigner? And, like, you mentioned Thug and Wayne. As somebody that's a fan of both, I feel like you can hear the influences, from Wayne and Thug. You can clearly hear the influences. But I've honestly never thought of Young Thug as ripping off Wayne. Never. Like, again, the influence is strong. And, it's tracks where they sound similar. But, they work together. And it just doesn't feel like thievery to me. Like, I can't imagine Future would want anything to do with this Sam's Choice version of himself. So whatever, so what could Desiigner do to have people not hate him? I have no idea, because fuck Desiigner. Right, next question is, who are 10 women musicians that you fuck with in honor of Women's History Month? Let's see. These are in no order. Nina Simone. I think I've talked about my love for Nina Simone many times. And again, you need to watch that documentary on Netflix, What Happened, Miss Simone. I'm going to keep saying it until everybody in the world has seen that documentary. So I love Nina Simone. I love Erykah Badu. I don't know if she gets the credit she deserves for, the amount of good music she's given us over the years. Love Amy Winehouse. I love Anita Baker. I've always loved Anita Baker's voice. I love Etta James. I love Etta James' voice. It's got, like, it's a beautiful, beautiful voice, but she's got an edge to it that, like, I absolutely know she would, like throw some hot water on me in my sleep if I fucked up. And it drives me wild. Something about it just drives me wild. Sade. Sade's up there for sure. Mia X. Mia X is the best women rapper I've ever heard. I don't even know who's a close second. Like, Mia X used to get down, like, back in the No Limit days. Janelle Monáe. Love Janelle Monáe's music. Tracy Chapman is someone who I haven't heard as much as I should have. Like, I've heard probably, like, the greatest hits, a few other things, but she's someone that I'd like to comb through her discography and see if I can, get through to that this month. And Missy Elliott. Missy Elliott, like, if you listen to that stuff Missy Elliott was doing in the late 90s, early 2000s, whatever, like, they were just, her, Timberland, all of them were so far ahead of their time just in what they were doing, like the samples they were using, shit they were flipping. So, yeah, those are my 10. No order. Nina Simone, Erykah Badu, Amy Winehouse, Anita Baker, Mia X, Etta James, Sade, Janelle Monáe, Tracy Chapman, and the great Missy Elliott. All right, next question is, what do you think Rick Ross's legacy will be? He's one of my favorite rappers, but I don't think he was ever holding down the number one spot the way Future has for the past 12, 18 months. His 2009 to 2012 stretch is fantastic, but I fear he'll be overlooked by Kanye and the emergence of rappers like Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole. Personally, I think he's the greatest Southern rapper not from Georgia, New Orleans, or Houston. As far as Rick Ross's legacy, I feel like he's going to be like a team Hall of Famer, not like a Hall of Fame Hall of Famer. Like, his number's retired by the team, and he'll never have to spend another dollar in that city, but he's not going to, like, the Pro Hall of Fame. I think of, like a Tayshaun Prince. Like, Tayshaun Prince had some good years. Like, he a legend in Lexington. He can always be a legend in Lexington. He won a ring in the pros. I'm sure he always gets love in Detroit, and always will. And he had a couple signature moments. You know what I'm saying? Like the Reggie Miller block, his defense on Kobe, and that NBA Finals the Pistons won. So I feel like that's Rick Ross. He's not going to be remembered. You said he'd be overlooked by Kanye. Kanye's Hall of Fame. Rick Ross is not that. But he's Team Hall of Fame. Like, he's a legend in Miami. He's got his signature moments. Rich Forever, Albert Anastasia, Teflon Don. So, he's someone that I still listen to his old music. So I can't imagine Rick Ross will, be away from my personal music collection anytime soon. Now, the stuff he's putting out now, hit or miss. I thought the last one was solid, but it's hit or miss. But yeah, I feel like he's a solid, circle of fame, or like the circle of honor, where they put your shit up in the stadium and you come out and they hang your jersey up. They don't retire your number, but they frame your jersey and he was remembered that way. That's what I think Rick Ross's legacy is going to be. Right, and the last question for today is Brock Osweiler a prick or no? Okay, if you're unfamiliar, I don't know when it happened. I just saw it yesterday. There's a video, and it's up on just about any site. It's not hard to find. It is Brock Osweiler outside of some establishment, a bar, club, restaurant of some sort, and some white woman gets in his face, points in his face, and another woman like pushes him. She pushes him in the back, but when you watch the video, like you can see she's kind of pushing him out of the way to get to somebody else. Like she's not pushing him to start some drama. And Osweiler, he's like 6'8", like 250, like he's big as fuck. And he turns around and he looks right at her. And I think that's the bad part of the video. Like if you're getting pushed in your back, you don't know, and you just kind of turn around pushing, that's one thing. Like he turned around, looked directly at her, and then pushed this woman. And then after he pushed her, another dude came and pushed him in the back. He got in the car. Like all the while he's holding this pizza. He's holding this pizza like a fucking record. Like, not to make light of the situation, but he was not letting that pizza go for nothing. And I really like that in a quarterback. I really like that decision making. But as far as the push, it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary. He might have been drunk, and that's fine too, but that doesn't make it right. Like, he looked right at this woman who was like half his size and pushed her. She wasn't causing him any harm. Will anything come of this? Nah, I think it's already blown over. Matter of fact, should anything come from this? I don't know. I don't know that. What I do know is how this would be handled if this was somebody like, if this was Tyrod Taylor last year, hitting free agency, about to get a deal, and Tyrod wasn't in line to get the type of deal that Brock Osweiler eventually got. I'll talk about that in a minute. But imagine if Tyrod Taylor was just out on the streets, like a career backup quarterback who had played a little bit, looked solid in the time that he had played. Clearly not played as much as Osweiler. But imagine if he just outside a club and just pushes a woman right before getting a big deal. Like he'd have to take the veterans minimum. So is Brock Osweiler a prick? To answer the question, I would say yeah. But let me say this, then we'll close out. How did the Broncos lose Brock Osweiler? And maybe it's not that big of a loss. I'm not sure he's that good. I don't think he is. But I'm reading now the Texans just signed him for 4 years, $72 million. $72 million. So, I don't know. I just feel like they had it lined up perfectly. Like, the Broncos are a pretty young team. Peyton retired, so that's money. They franchised Vaughn, so they didn't have to worry about him getting away. All they had to do was re-sign Brock Osweiler. He's like 25. So you sign him to just captain your ship. Just run the offense of your dominant defense, and you might pull another Super Bowl or two out of it. And they lost him to the Texans. Now, depending on which way they go with it, this could be a good thing. They could get somebody for cheap and just have that much more money to surround them with. I don't know, but it just seems funny. Like all they had to do was bring back their young quarterback waiting in the wings after their old quarterback won a Super Bowl, retired, and they fucked that up. Now for Houston gonna catch these jokes too, because they just gave $72 million to a quarterback that couldn't beat out Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was like 86, and his passes were going like 4 yards. And the coaches looked at him in practice and was like, "Yeah, I think Peyton's got it, man. I think Peyton's got it." And I remember Osweiler ran like a stretch of it was like 8 quarters or something over, course. No, it wasn't that long. It was a few quarters of like just straight 3 and outs, like 12, 13 3 and outs straight. And this man just got $72 million. I feel like he's in the Finesse Hall of Fame off that alone. He played in 8 games this year. He won a ring, and it wasn't like he was the backup, like never saw a snap to Peyton. No, he played half the season and won a few games, a couple big games to keep them in the mix. They ended up getting the number 1 seed, which I think was essential to them making it to the Super Bowl and eventually winning the Super Bowl. So he played a spot, definitely earned his ring, got $72 million. And he pushed a white woman and nobody cared, like on camera, and nobody cared. So he's in the Finesse Hall of Fame for certain. All right, and with that said, that brings show number 71 to a conclusion. So I always want to thank you guys so much for rocking me these first 71 shows. You know where to find me by now. If you go to SoundCloud, Stitcher, as well as iTunes, search for Trill Withers, the show will come up. Do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe there so that the show will come to you every week. Got the email address you can reach me at. That's trillwitherspodcast@gmail.com. Again, trillwitherspodcast@gmail.com. And the website, if you ever want to drop a comment or anything, that's lookingup from the floor wordpress.com. As always, guys, thanks so much for the support and stay righteous.